Hello everybody, Charles Anderson here. I'm just a guy from Goodwill. I've got a really great video game idea. That said, it's going to be quite a while before I, get cool stuff to show folks. Meantime, doing Tonegod today. Let's see. I'm actually like as I work with Tonegod, I'm seeing a few places, like especially with this demo, of some things that could probably be tweaked a little bit for more usability. But I understand where the base is coming from, and awesome work on the project as a whole. So it's good for me, good for my demo. So anyway, let's see. I had the request for tables and chats. And so I have gone on ahead and got my code up and running. And we'll start off with main. I'm just going to, first off, I'll probably need to go by my checklist, tables and chat and stuff. Okay, review of components in general. Okay, so, Tonegod. Let's see here. And one of the things that's hilarious is part of this functionality that I put in there is I have a fake server to work with the chat and stuff, and I'll go in that later because it's one of those, really? Oh wow, they had an on queue for runnables. Oh geez. So I didn't actually do this the right way. It's a way, and it's perfectly valid, but it's not the way that was originally envisioned at all. But hey, it works. And okay, so we've gone over buttons. Checkbox and radio buttons, I'm pretty sure should be self-explanatory. They're extensions of that, and so you skin them and you use them. Great. Okay, so chat box is one of the things that we'll be working with today. I'll go ahead and open up the class. Now, of course, there's no preamble or anything to how to use this, but if we look over here, you'll notice that one method is abstract, on send message, and that's when you click the send button. Hey, what do you want to happen? Well, usually for a chat box, you would want to send the string that the user typed in onto the server. And of course, I've made a fake server to receive this string, and and it would theoretically distribute the chat message to all the other users. Well, now I don't actually use any of the JMonkey Engine networking stuff. I've made a fake server, so it's pretty much, there's zero latency, anything like that. So this is not about true networking. This is just, okay, so at this point in time, send it off to the server, and then the server will do its thing, and then probably you'll get a response back from the server saying, okay, here's the latest chat message I received, and then what you typed would be, on your little chat window there. There's a lot of protected stuff, and so really the only things you really need to worry about is on send message, receive message. You can receive messages from the server. And of course I hook into it with my little fake server listener here class. But anyway, so when you're working with chat boxes, really you just need to make sure that you got it sized correctly. You got your on send message, your receive message. Of course, if you want to set your tooltips, that's completely optional. And set send key, like for me, I use the enter key, and that'll be shown in code here later. So that's chat box. I don't go over color wheel or drag an element or drop element or sprite element. Let's see, but I do slide tray. Nope, I don't do any. Tables. Yes, I do go over tables. Now, tables are pretty cool. In that you can display it as a regular table, and right here in the preamble, they've got examples. So hey, review code, or if you have the source, they'll usually put some examples in there. So you've got a table as a table, and so like they have auto-size columns. It's usually auto-size the first column to fill up the rest of the space, auto-size the last column to fill up the space, or just divide the space between all your columns, that type of thing. Keyboard navigations, of course you have to enable keyboard navigation. I don't enable it, and I go by row. But, here's some source, like add your columns, then you add rows. And now they do have a table cell, but you can't add that explicitly. It has to do with this add cell, and you have like the string that it displays and then the value. But guess what? There's really no way to, let's look in the cell value. You can't get a cell value. It's private. See, there's value, right? But it's private. So you can't really get it. I don't understand why, but so maybe the functionality that I'm thinking would be there is not what they're actually intending. So there's a tree table, and the whole big thing is this statement right here, set leaf false, that automatically says, oh, hey, yeah. So there's a parent row, and then if you add another row, guess what? It's now nested. Huh, that's cool. And then a tree, and then how to do just like a tree, like a, little directory tree here. And so on and so forth. So anyway, tables, yes, you can have a regular table. You can have a table with little leaves underneath it, and you can have a true tree. So hey, that's pretty cool, I think. All right, let's see what other. So chat, tables. Oh, in the extras category, I believe there was a logon box. I went ahead and used the login box. Yeah, that's extras. Scrolling. Yeah, login box. So yeah, I make sure to use the login box. You can access. Okay, so here's the abstracts that need to be overridden. If they press cancel, what do you do? If they press login, what do you do? And for this example, I went on ahead and put in like, a response message that would supposedly be there for the server. Of course, I'll show that in code here. But let's see, username. Yeah. So really, what you'd be wanting, because they've actually got a password, or the password text is a string, and username is a string. So of course, that stuff you would be forwarding onto your server, and processing it, validating login. So yeah, there's that. Let's see, what else? Of course, you can't really directly interact with the cancel and login buttons. So like if you wanted to set the login button as a toggleable button, which means or disable it. Yeah, if you wanted to disable the button, I mean, you'd have to do an indirect catch by tree name. And I've learned that there's some behavior with set UID that the moment that you instantiate the login box, of course, you cannot set any of the kids' names, or the moment that you instantiate the login box, because it instantiates children of its own, you can't set UID. So yeah, that's kind of awkward. You'd have to actually do a scene graph visitor to find out what its name is, and even then, at least you would know that it would have :button OK for part of its label. So you could do a regex to find out what it actually is. Come on, where are you at? Label. Yeah, I want the buttons. Let's see, like response. That's probably response. Yeah. Yeah. So, you'd regex for button OK because it would generate its ID on its own because you really couldn't send it a name very easily unless, you initialized it with a name. And even then, I've tried a couple of referencing by name, and it seems to add extra stuff. So I haven't traced it out, but of course, I didn't really worry about that for this example. Okay, anything else? Oh yes, I use tab controls for this as well. And, they have add tab and then add tab child, which tab do you want to add it to, and the stuff that you want to add. So that one, add tab, and that, oh yeah, and yes, there are scroll panels. So you have your regular tabs, and I made sure to make one of them a scroll panel to show that behavior. Okay, so let's go into code. I think that was the review of components in general. Just read up on the stuff and work with it as best you can, because as a group editable thing, the next revision of Tonegod, hey, it's our donation. So if there's stuff that makes sense to add, feel free. I know that I might be adding some stuff to this in as well. Okay, so derp. Let's go here. All right, we're going to start off in our main application. Let's see, stuff that deviates from the normal. Hey, start up a new application. Basic application. Well, you'll notice I've got my screen. I've also got a runnable, and this is to do with my a runnable queue. This had to do with I forgot that JMonkey Engine had dot on queue for runnables, and so yeah, since I completely forgot that, I made this object, and yeah, down here on the simple update, hey, if there's something in the to-do list, run it, go for it. So that's how I do my safe threading here. Okay, so yeah, I set up the to-do list. All right, here's the regular code as generated. Here's a call to compilation box, and then of course I'm going to use the audio. I'm not going to use the custom cursors because I like my little cursor here, and going to make it the cursor visible and set drag to rotate true. So that's our setup. Really, compilation box is what we're going to be interested in for the layout and stuff like that. Now, as part of the constructor, I do request, the screen. And I could have extended element, but it didn't because it's kind of like a one-shot thing. Not really. It's just holding together this tab control. All right. And so all this splurge wouldn't be in main, but it's still spaghetti code so that, it's kind of read as you go. All right, so let's look at our public for inside this class. We got our tab control. Going to have a login button. This is just toggle button, which shows the login screen. Poll server button, which goes to our fake server, requests, or you press it to request the listing of servers that are available to chat in, and then a connect button, which will say, oh hey, let's actually go over to chat by connecting to this this little server. So master server, showing all the little servers that are holding chat rooms. All right, we got our login box. We've got our table, which we'll be using in normal mode, and just have a listing of servers, IP address, the server's name, and how many users are using it right now. Then of course we have our chat box. Of course we've got our fake server, which will be coordinating all of our fake information that we'll be interacting with. Of course, we have our login name, which we'll need to use in our chat box, of course, and our login status, which we'll see if we can, poll for servers because we're logged in. And number of users. This is just to hold how many fake users in a chat room So this one's just a key off of how many users we need to generate. And now this one is a holder for, because oddly enough, table, yes, you can set a value, but you cannot retrieve a value that I know of, at least from looking at code. Now, if this is wrong, somebody please correct me in the comments below or whatnot, but it doesn't look like table you can actually access any of the values you store in a table. It's just text only, apparently. But anyway, let's see. And then, of course, my own britches. So, because inside of a button declaration, you can't say this, and refer to the compilation box as a whole. So yeah, it's kind of like a self-reference. So my own britches. I like that name. That's a good name. All right, so we jump into our constructor, set our stuff up, get a new fake server running. Set app for threading. So hey, we need to get a hold of the to-do list and be able to add to the to-do list. Could have just used on queue, but anyway. So we send our application. We get our application through our screen object, because that one has access to the application that's running it. So why not? We'll get there. And of course, my own britches, get a self-reference right there. Then we start up our tab control. And now on tab select, it's for when user changes tab. So probably if you need to update a certain view on a certain tab, depending on information that you set on a different tab, bada boom, bada bing, here's where you would update that logic. So we add our first tab, which is the login tab, and you'll see false. That's because it's not a scroll panel tab. Of course, we start off with our login button, and in our anonymous constructor, we just say, hey, it's a toggle button. So one click does one thing, and we can run it off of toggled, which is this boolean right here. And if it's toggled, show it. If it's not, hide it. And you'll also notice this statement here. I noticed in source that they were using event.setConsume to, hey, this one captured it, this one is using it, nobody else needs to. You can skip processing on the rest of the objects. So I thought that was pretty handy. So I'm adding that to my code as proper coding for Tonegod. Then, of course, we got the setting the text, all that good stuff. Then we have our login box. And, of course, we got our initialization. So when we press login, there's something called the message, which, welcome whoever, verifying your user account with server. And, of course, since we don't actually have a server, we're just going to log them in. It doesn't even matter what your password is. And, we change the text on the buttons. And then here's a cool statement, set selected tab. Hey, I'm done with this tab. I can do wizard style and just jump to the next tab, because that's the next step in the process. And then we enable the ability to poll servers, because they're now logged in, and consume that event. And then, of course, if they cancel, I'll just be like, okay. And if they're logged in, we just log them out. And there we go. Beyond this login status, it's not much is done. All right, so we add the control, and we go on ahead and hide it, because we'll use our toggle button to show it and hide it. Okay, so next tab, we got our server listening tab. Up at the top are two buttons. One is to poll the servers, which is only active if they're logged in. And here's where we request from our fake server, get some servers, and we throw that in. And then we flush out our table. Now, here, because I can't actually retrieve any data that's useful to me, I go on ahead and set up an array to where I get, how many users are supposed to be in that channel. So, that when they go and connect, the proper amount of fake users are going to be chatting. So, yeah, because I don't know how to store excess data onto a table, it there's no get value. You can set it, but there's just no get value. Why? Anyway, add your row after you get all of your cells for the just add the row, and of course the definition for server table is down below. And make sure that if they're polling, obviously if you're connected to a chat room, that chat room won't be valid anymore. So stop talking, guys. And of course, we're not selecting any row on the table, so we can't connect because we're not choosing anything. And consume it. All right, so that's our poll server button, and of course we're going to set it false, not enabled initially, and we add that to that tab. And then of course we get our connect button, which will move us on to the chat screen. And of course we need to register our client listener to our compilation box, which implements fake server listener, and all fake server listener is, hey, on new message. So anybody who's implementing, I know we can call this, and hey, it'll do something with a string. Okay, where was I? Yes, way down here. You know what? Control Shift Enter. There we are, and of course we make sure that our login name that we have our name that we logged in with as our chat name, and then we get some fake chat users, and we get them to start talking, and then done. So add connect button. Make sure it's not enabled because obviously they're not logged in yet as far as they're concerned. And here's our table. So when somebody selects a different row, hey, we're going to coordinate with our num users at row. So, it was set up. So initially they're synchronized, but I've got this as a sorted table, so they will easily desynchronize. And I'll show you, because there's really no... It could be adjusted to where it would hold stuff like that because it can't hold values. So if you change the order of things, any linked values, how are you going to reorder them as well? All right. Yep, that was the problem I came across. So I'm not worrying about it, just showing it as behavior. But we do enable it if we do select a row, and connecting, it'll work. All right, so we add our column headers, and we make I'm setting it true just to show this behavior off. I'm selecting by rows, and of course you can select by row, multiple rows, cells, multiple cells. So hey, yeah. And I'm going to split the difference for the area set aside for it by all by all columns equally. And so we add that to the tab, and then we add our final chat tab. And on send message, we're going to push that message to the server. And when our server uses that interface server listener that we register with it, then we use the chat box receive message. And there we go. All right, and we set our send key with JMonkey Engine key put, key return, and of course we add it to our thing. And then we add our whole tab control to the screen, and we're done. And of course we got get login name for that. All right, so that's our compilation box, and then we'll just go through with the server now. Okay, so our fake server, it's pretty much we have that one guy, which is the compilation box. That's our one and only listener. We have that one name, which is the user's name that they're going to register. Of course, they can log out, then log back in, and change their name. We have a pool of fake IP addresses, fake server names, and fake number of users that we have a pool of. Here's a pool of fake usernames, and it's a bunch of 8-ball, magic 8-ball quotes. So we have our pools, our various pools. Then we have a list of our fake users that are in the current chat room. And now we have timer and timer task. And remember that to-do list? Yeah. So that you make sure that you're running functions at the right time, which is during the simple update loop, I believe it's called. I could have just on-queued it. Oh my goodness. But simple update. So, I peek on my to-do list, and if there's something there, I go ahead and run it. Yay. But yeah, timer and timer task, that's good old Java 1.5 that introduced it. And, of course, I got a little random thing, so I can pull from my pool of stuff, and, of course, the app, so that I can get a hold of my unwisely public to-do list and add stuff to it. All right. So, here's my runnable say stuff. All right, and here's where I actually say stuff to the server. And of course, stop talking gracefully exits the thread that started the whole shebang, and start talking to start a new thread. All right. Set app for threading. This is where that's where we get a hold of the to-do list from, or a way to get a hold of the to-do list. Here's where we get some servers, just for, let's see, where is it? Okay, so ran next int 7 plus 5. So at minimum there will be 5. Oh, hey, it's written right here. So 5 to 11, because it goes 0 to 6, but not inclusive of 7. Great for getting random stuff from arrays, but yeah. So minimum of 5, maximum of 11 servers will show, and all the stuff just pulled from the fake listing pool. All right, get some chat users. Again, a bunch of random stuff. Pull up some fake users. Start talking. All right, so here's where we make a new timer, new thread, and then we have a timer task, and then we schedule it up random. So anywhere between 1 second to 9 seconds, somebody will say something random. And stop talking. Gracefully exit the current thread. So 2 start talkings in a row will make it nasty. So, heads up. Of course, if I wanted to, I could probably just set this to true. Now, what this does is this marks it as a daemon thread, which means in Java terms, this thread, it's a junk thread. So, yeah, you can totally terminate the program no matter what, because it's junk. It's not dependent on anything. It's a background maintenance task. There we go. But anyway, so here it schedules up to run this, and when it runs, it's going to throw on to the to-do list to say some stuff. All right, and when it says some stuff, it makes sure to gracefully exit out of that timer thread, and then start up a new timer thread, which then schedules up the next statement. So it'll eternally repeat, and the program won't exit gracefully. Of course, I made sure to have a button in there which will call stop talking, so that it's possible to gracefully exit. Otherwise, I'd have to, mark this timer as a daemon thread so that it would exit no matter what, because those are junk threads I'm using anyway. In the case of like video game logic, not this example. Use app states. All right. Okay. Push to server. So when somebody, when you type in the chat window, you're going to use function push to server, and it puts @ in front of your name and what you say, and then if that one guy is registered, hey, it's going to send the latest message on back, and it'll show up in your chat window. And of course, set client listener, set client name. We're ready to run this thing. Okay. Oh, that's hollow panels. Hey, hollow panels, what's up? All right. Okay, so let's run this thing and bada boom, bada bing. All right, here's our little tab control. It's not resizable because I marked it as not resizable, or well, that's default behavior. Now, as you can see, here's our little blue cube in the background. But let's go ahead and show login. Let's log me in. I am Relic 724, and my super duper secret password. Oh, now you'll notice that even though I switched tabs, it didn't actually select tab because I didn't press the select tab button. But here is that message that I was telling you about. So, of course, this would naturally be while you're waiting. Now, I will say some odd behavior. If you switch tabs, switch back, show login. Oh, hey, why didn't it show? I don't know. It waits until the next time, so don't know what's up with that delay. It's odd. All right, so let's refresh our list. Here's our list of... this is the tab that I marked as scrollable. As you notice, there's some odd behavior with our text. Everything else seems to be clipping right, but our text doesn't. Go figure. But as you can see, because the two lists are synchronized right now, we're just fine. What I click on is what it is. Now, I've got these as sortable. So it is an alphabetical sortable. Again, an alphabetical sortable. So even though 40 is less than 103, because it's stored as a text string, ones come before fours, and so odd behavior there. And of course, that is the sorting behavior. So it's kind of odd, like, A, you really can't attach data to one of these things. I don't really see how useful a table is. Maybe somebody else could do a video on the usefulness of this. But anyway, I'm going to refresh lists so that we have synchronization again. And, okay, time to connect and use our magic 8-ball chat room. All right. And, of course, our thread started. Let's be like, hey, guys. Yeah. Wow. That's cool. Oh, looks like I've got a greengrocer's apostrophe going. Oh. I should program more. Huh. Yeah. So, we've got our little timer doing random things in the background. And, my pretty and safe way of exiting out of this is just click refresh list. That terminates all of this timer. I can exit my program gracefully. Boom. And, of course, if you... and then, of course, because I'm just like I am, let's go for completionism and show it to where... So, hey guys, when you don't have a correctly terminating thread, when, it's a thread that terminates gracefully and then starts a new thread, so we're always going to be mid-thread, but because I never cancel it, our program never completes, and by the time it reaches this part, it's like, where's my application, dude? So yeah, that's why I would want to mark something like that as garbage, as a garbage thread. Mark it as daemon. So there we go. Well, that ends my little demo. Code and all. It was mostly code. Sorry if it ran long, but hopefully it wasn't too boring. I know coding it was, because I'm not actually dealing with an actual video game, it was like, but hey, whatevs. Anyway, I'm on Patreon. Please support me if you'd like to. Just drop $1 off. It's not necessary because I'll be doing these videos anyway. Of course, that said, I'm kind of getting the hunger of like actually making a small video game or something. Maybe like start in on my Idiog again and program. In which case, I probably wouldn't hear from me for quite a while. But if there's any requests, yeah, feel free to put them down there. No problem. I do like the sodas. Mmm. Great brush this time. Of course, I like Welch's grape much more, but meh. Anyway, all right. Y'all have a good one. I hope you got some interesting stuff. This is also for my heads up. Looks like there's some stuff that could be tweaked a little bit in Source over on tables. So I might actually, I don't know. Yeah, because it'd be cool to pull values from tables, especially if you select by cell. All right, y'all have a good one, and peace out.